Thank you for joining us here for Game 5, where despite the blows they have taken, Counterlogic Gaming is still in the running for a playoff spot as they go against Dignitas QNTMPAY, a team with plenty on the line as they battle for their spot in the upper bracket. Two very different things that they have to worry about for these squads.
They do. CLG has to worry about staying alive, and Dig just has to worry about their playoff seeding. So I think, look, for CLG, I think we did see some signs of hope, right? They did win a game last week, right? It was a little weird with the Kazakhs and all this other stuff, and I'm not really sure what their approach to experimentation is, but I'm glad they're experimenting at all, because I'm just not confident in their ability to beat other teams' standard, and they need to do this 3 times in a row this weekend. Dignitas, on the other hand, has also been experimenting in a way that I think has felt really good. Like we saw the Yasuo succeed against TL. And we just saw like just a cohesive comp that has a clear win condition. I want to see CLG take a note from Dig's book and combine a little bit of what Dig is doing with what we saw from them earlier in the split.
I actually really like Dig's drafts because it feels like there's one of 2 things that they tend to do. Either they go really hard into like, this is a counter pick and it's like a bit of a volatile counter pick, but we're gonna do it. Or they go more into like, this is a really strong synergy like Diana Yasuo, we're gonna do it. And I think I appreciate that approach, especially on red side, to be like, listen, we're either gonna like get a nuts counter pick or we're gonna get like this really strong synergy. And it's, you know, not quite as elegant as like really playing into, you know, predicting what your opponent's gonna do, crafting this excellent comp, kind of like we just saw TL do. But at the same time, I still appreciate that it gives them options in draft.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me with Dignitas is that whenever they do draft some of these weird things, or like, not even weird things, but things that might not seem as standard for other teams. Diana Yasuo, we've seen other teams play it, but then the Kindred mid, I thought was super interesting because it really relied on making sure that Yusui and Acadian had good mid-jungle synergy. That is just not a pick that works unless you're pushing ahead and you have your jungler covering for you, because Kindred is not going to be able to get marks otherwise. Yusui got his marks actually pretty like surprisingly quickly, in my opinion, and it was a really good pick into the Lucian. So I appreciate that as Acadian and Yusui's mid-jungle has improved, they've reflected that in their drafts.
Yeah, we talk so much about Acadian as a very clear focal point to this squad. And when we're also mentioning this draft flexibility, a lot of it does come from Yusui. 6 different picks, I think, in the last 6 different games. So how much do you think that it's maybe a surprise that he's become such an important part of the squad? Or is it just the fact that it is really important for the jungle and the mid to have that synergy?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely important for jungle mid to have synergy. And Yusui's now been on the lineup for a while, and I think to his credit, he has had displayed a bigger range of champions than I think Saligo was playing. I don't know if Saligo could have played them, but at least Dignitas trusts Yusui to play them. I think for me, when I look at what the big focus point for Dig is, it's more about Acadian just as an individual, having huge pop-off performances, putting a lot of pressure in the map.
I will say for Yusui, he's always been someone, like when I think of Saligo, when he brought to the team, it was like a really strong, steady, like specific kind of stable of champions where, and I think he did have a better understanding of, I guess, how to cover for his jungler than Yusui does. But Yusui, even when he was coming up like years ago, was always known for someone who would try out anything. And I mean anything. He played some weird stuff. And so that has kind of been able to help them out here, right? Because even if the execution isn't always clean, he is willing to go for these kind of zany counter picks.
I feel like the thing that always held him back was less the champion pool, more play style, especially when he subbed in right away. There were some games where you're like, oh my God, you're a 4-0 Viego, and just nothing happened. And like, I think he's gotten better about that element more than anything else in his game plan. And maybe some of that is due to Acadian, because Acadian is an aggressive player and he's like, come in with your boost, bro.
Well, use your wallet.
I'm going. So like, you better be behind me. And I think their 2v2 synergy has been one of the things that's helped unlock Yusui. You saw he was up there with some of the most kills and assists on average at 15. I think, it's because he's being encouraged to be more aggressive. Mechanically, he's always been pretty decent. He has his flubs and his oopsies, which I think a lot of young players tend to, and especially people who are on stage and high pressure things like, I subbed in for this guy. The team's going through a lot of stuff. So I think seeing the mentality shift that seems to have happened to be willing to take the risks is what I'm happy to see.
Yeah, it takes the whole team around them to be willing to index into that flexibility that someone wants to bring to the table.
Yeah, and speaking of people bringing things to the table, I think Demonte has brought a lot to the table for CLG. I think he's been probably the best player on CLG since he got subbed in. We've seen him on the rise, on these roaming picks that have been his bread and butter for a long time, have a huge impact on the games. And a lot of these games, they look a little bit chaotic from CLG side. We see, there's a lot of side lane plays. We see a lot of TPs. But I think Damonte feels more comfortable in these situations where he has to worry about making plays happen around the map as opposed to making plays happen from his lane. So I think Damonte's added a lot of dimensionality for CLG that they've needed sorely for a while.
A man that at one point was kind of classified as a very specific type player, being that supportive mid, but has also been vocal about wanting to provide a lot of different styles for the rest of his team.
You know what's a great pick? TF.
It is a good pick. I would love a Damonte TF.
I was like, I got an opening here. I would love to actually see them pick that up because I think it plays towards Damonte's plays.
Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. He plays a lot of that. I would also just like to see them, keep swinging for the fence. We just talked about some of the stuff that, Dignitas did well. I think they can adapt some of that. Like go for the crazy counter pick, go for the big Wombo team fight that has a bunch of synergies in it. Like, please have a clear win condition because you need those when you're struggling.
Yes. Dignitas trying to make sure they squeak into that top 6 is pretty much them and Immortals. Obviously, CLG are battling it out with FlyQuest and Golden Guardians for that final spot. Let's find out who makes their step one step closer to their ultimate goals, sending it on over to Demacia of Ice.
Welcome back, my friends. It is time for the very last game of the day. And now we got ourselves some Dignitas QNTMPAY going up against CLG. And the playoff implications here are a little bit different for both. So let me bring you all up to speed.
All right.
Because for Dignitas, a win here will lock them into 6th place, which is very important because that means you get 2 lives in playoffs, right? 7th and 8th, 1 series loss and you are gone. 6th, you'll still have a chance at redemption. For CLG, although losing here does not mathematically eliminate them from that 8th spot in playoffs, it makes their journey incredibly difficult and it puts it firmly out of their own control.
Exactly.
So both teams really want this win. And a reminder that we also still have tickets available for the LCS Championship semifinal match in the Prudential Center there on Saturday. Remember, this is not the days of old where 3rd and 4th place is mostly for an imaginary bronze medal. No! Instead, the game on Saturday is the one that will send the 2nd team to the final on Sunday. It is going to be an incredible game itself, so don't forget that you can go online, check out the tickets there, get yourself some, and be a part of all the action in our first live in-person event since before the pandemic.
You don't want to miss it. Even if you can't make it to the finals, making it to an event like that, it's going to feel damn good.
I love those events, man. I have missed that so much.
Yes.
The worst part about being stuck in your bedroom, sitting there in pajama pants, casting League of Legends for a year, is that's what you have to compare it to.
Yeah.
Is those kind of events. That's the bar that we're setting, and I can't wait to get back to it. It's going to be awesome. But right now, we got to get back to the draft. Let's see how things are shaking out here. We've already got the bans taken care of. Syndra, Irelia, Xin Zhao, Lee Sin, LeBlanc, and Rise all banned away with Thresh, the first pick on CLG.
Olaf is available. And I wonder if that's something that Acadian wants to go towards. They have a last pick. They can actually hold jungle into 4-5, and they showcase that they're willing to play a lot into these picks. So let's see if that's going to be the case, but I do think that it's going to be a really good pick for Broxa.
Okay, we've got ourselves a Renekton first picked here for Dignitas. So pretty standard stuff there for the top lane. Not exactly anything that anybody's getting crazy excited about. It just it fits into pretty much everything.
Yeah, and also Dignitas has shown the propensity to throw that croc towards the mid lane as well. It is still almost certainly going to be going to Fake God. But that composition is beefy. 2 melees already. Team fight heavy. Yusui is also a Yasuo player. So we already saw that really early on today. And I love that the desk kind of highlighting the fact that Yusui can play a lot here. So that's something that Dignitas can still play towards. I also forgot that Kalista was available. I want to see if that's something that they lock in for their bot lane and then ban for it. It's going to be hard going up against Thresh and Aphelios. That's most certainly a trap being set by CLG.
Yeah, CLG having that Thresh Aphelios combo. We know that Aphelios likes having these protective supports with them. Something like a Thresh, a Tahm Kench in the olden days. No longer viable on that pick. I don't want to see people picking new Tahm Kench with Aphelios. It does not have the same sort of defensive synergies. Also with Viego, I mean, hey, the Ruin King fits into a lot of different slots into a composition as well, as Nautilus will be the next pick for Dignitas.
Straight good teamfight comp here from Dignitas. I think CLG can still levy a ban towards the Kalista because even though, Aphelios and Thresh are made perfect versus it, the utility that a Kalista provides even in team fights is something that you have to worry about, right? Even if the Lantern's out there, you can just ward it and still get a pick on towards Aphelios. So Yasuo, good ban, talked about it. You know, already a good setup there from the Diana. So they could just be throwing more. I usually don't want to split bans on mid lanes. So if they're committing to the first ban being a mid lane ban, I expect another to go towards Yasui.
Okay, Gnar and Yasuo banned away. What else is it going to be, Dignitas? One more ban to go. They still don't know exactly where Viego is going to be. A lot of the times we do see him in the jungle these days. Gwen banned out.
Akali could be a good ban here, actually. It's good for both mid laners. Lucian is going to be the ban. I wonder here, if you have Diana and Akali, still great dive threat there from Dignitas. Let's see if that's something Yasui is willing to go towards. Remember, I don't think he should pick here. I think you have 5 pick, Yasui has a wealth of options. Wait until 5 pick. This is where you pick your AD carry.
Yeah, I would much rather see the AD carry pick here, especially with the flexibility of the Viego and the fact that you know the other 2 picks are 100% going bottom lane.
Yeah.
This should be the AD carry pick. They will lock the Kalista.
So even though we know this is going to be a trap that CLG is trying to position their bot lane as best as possible, I would still like that Kalista ban only because, as I said, like even if your laning phase is doing incredibly well, even if you scale really well, you know, all it takes is that one hook, that Kalista ultimate to really make Aphelios' life harder here. But Tahm Kench being hovered, it is a good pick here. You could throw it into the top lane, you outscale. Also a good mid laner here if Damonte is the one that's willing to play it.
And I always like seeing people pick Juggernauts into powerful dive.
Yeah.
Because the weakness of the Juggernaut class is mobility. You can't reach targets that want to kite you away. Divers aren't that. Divers hand deliver their lesser statted selves straight to you. And it makes it easier for him to do his job. So Tahm Kench locked into CLG.
If you ask any AD carry out here, professional AD carry, and this is what Emily really wanted on the desk, and she got it.
Fate. There you go, Emily. Damonte on TF.
There he is. Picture perfect. Kaizen was like, yes, I would love it in this instance because it's Damonte's, you know, it's his bread and butter. It's who he is as a player. He wants to roam on side lanes and help those out. So now you have Mr. Tahm Kench in the top lane. If his lane is doing well, can spiral it even more. Silas is going to be the pick here, so he can follow him in the first ulti, right? It's going to take a little longer of a cooldown than he has for the next one, but still, that's going to be the choice that Yasui goes for.
Okay, so Silas, let's take a look at the ults that he has to steal. You can get the box, you can get whatever random ulti Aphelios' gun might be imbued with at that moment. You can get the Devour, which is something that wasn't previously stealable, so we might see some funny stuff happen with that one. But
kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't see any of those like S-tier ultis that Silas can steal. Something like an Alistar ult that just completely changes. One of those Leona ultis that you just steal and it's the laser from space, right?
You usually get like, at least 2. In this case, it is specifically for Twisted Fate. You're going to be working 2v2 with Diana to try and pin him down. I think that's completely fine. And you're also going to be using Twisted Fate ultimate. But when you don't have that available, you know, Viego ultimate and the Tahm Kench ultimates are probably going to be your best bet here.
Okay.
But that's pretty much what you're looking for. But in the end of the day, I look towards CLG's composition, and I think it's quite straightforward. And I think Twisted Fate and Thresh is a great pick duo. You want to play towards that bot lane a little bit more and make Kalista's life hard. And to your point, that Tahm Kench coming in, if you ask any AD carry out there, you know, how do you feel playing Aphelios versus Constant Dive? Hate it. Even with Thresh, still feels bad because at least you're riding on Flash and, you know, the Thresh Lantern.
Yeah.
Add the Tahm Kench into the mix and you should feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, just having that Devour, having that extra way out, especially when it's going to be pretty much all 5 enemy players gunning for you, right?
Yeah.
You've got 3 divers with an engaged support and a very mobile AD carry that can play aggressively. So lots of defense is going to be needed here to keep Wild Turtle safe, keep him alive. Let's go ahead and look at how things are shaking out here in terms of summoner spells. No cleanse in the bottom lane. Sometimes you will see that against champions like Nautilus or like Thresh. Neither AD carry has opted for it. They both want the heal. These supports, there will also be a difference here as we've got Exhaust for Smoothie versus the Ignite on Afro Moon.
Definitely one of our more aggressive bot lanes. Even if you're taking LEC into consideration, you're seeing more passive bot lanes. You're seeing long sword starts. If you're seeing a Jhin, you're seeing boots, pots start. Because there's just not a lot of action happening down there. You're seeing more, you know, supports being used for like weaker supports, like Alistar, you know, that are kind of more catered towards team fights. In this case, CLG and Dignitas throw that gauntlet down. I want to see what Afremu and Smoothie got for us here.
So remember, a lot on the line here in this game for both of these squads. Dignitas fighting for that second life in a playoff scenario. They're already locked into playoffs. Like, that's happening one way or the other.
Yep.
The difference between 6th and 7th is pretty severe. So CLG will, of course, want to stop them from getting there. Manage to get themselves into that playoff scenario, too. It's such a tricky thing, getting to this part of the season, getting this close to the very end, only a couple games left to play, and having 3 teams in that spot, just going head-to-head against one another, where just one single game's outcome could mean the difference between postseason and no postseason.
Yeah, that and the playoffs, it feels like a test, like a cumulative exam, because all the lessons that you've learned in practice and, of course, of the multiple games that we've thrown at you in Summer Split really comes to this. How much of you have learned really getting to this point, right? Even both teams made pretty substantial changes in their roster because they didn't feel like they were ready. This, they have to feel ready. Diamante, you know, being added to CLG added a lot to this team, but they're in already a pretty bad position, as you said. So we get to see a lot of that come into play and hope that no nerves is there from either team.
Right, and when you're looking at CLG and when you're talking about the other teams that are in there in that neck-and-neck race for their lives at the bottom, it's a 10-team league with an 8-team playoff. It is a bad look to be one of the 2 teams that misses it. You do not want to have that. We're using classroom analogies. You don't want that on your permanent record.
You don't.
That's a whole handful of demerits. Nobody wants that thing.
You definitely don't.
I want to see a hungry CLG. I want to see a CLG that looks more coordinated, that looks more like they have a plan.
What we just saw here was that little bit of coordination there. Diamante getting a ward down on blue at the exact time that Yusui, or at least Acadian, was on it. And, of course, on top of that, you're going to see Diego play a little bit more aggressively.
Oh, Smoothie goes for a hook, but it goes all the way wide. It goes to the right, and Smoothie walks away. He's barely alive. The last little bit of damage comes in, and it's Acadian getting first blood.
They could force Wild Turtle off this wave completely. Even with Broxa being here, it's going to be pretty rough. He's going to try for the wave. I know Nautilus is really low. I guess Dignitas doesn't want to go for it. Just it's too large of a risk. But man, everything was set up for Broxa to be able to get that Scuttlecrab bot side. He does get it, but Wild Turtle and Smoothie were caught sleeping on that one. Good play from Acadian.
Nicely done by Dignitas and the jungler. Let's see how it went down again.
Yeah, let's see who ends up starting this one. Aphromoo positions himself to get the hook on towards Thresh. And I mean, at this point, you know, the hook comes out from Smoothie. He knew that if they're trying for that play, Acadian had to be there. They had full vision that, you know, Acadian's on this side of the map. Just get caught off guard, and that's going to start CLG on a bad foot.
And for anybody saying hook, Keck W, and it looks like Aphromoo just, or not Aphromoo, Smoothie just completely threw the thing out in the right field, he aimed it at the spot right below the minion where it wouldn't hit the minion, and if Neo was hopping aggressively, it would have hit him. So it was an attempted read, but Neo was smart enough to say, I don't need to step out from behind this minion. I will just sit here and throw this at you over and over again. I'm already in range. So it was well played by Dignitas. It was a good attempt from Smoothie, but not really much to be done.
And so that's the concern here is now the wave's there for Neo and Aphromoo, and you can consistently play towards them. Acadian's clearing it away. Of course, he has the highest gold in the map right now just because of what's happened in the bot side. He received the kill gold, so that's nice for him. But he's clearing in a way that he's always going to be on the bot side of the map. If they can't make a play happen, then that's a possible dragon being picked up there for Dignitas. So it's a really nice start here for the Dignitas team.
Especially with how powerful Diana is as a jungler, and the fact that, you know, her existence as a pro play jungler came from all those buffs to her passive, which gives her insane damage to monsters. And that's sustained free damage. It doesn't cost you mana to use that thing. So Diana's also really good at soloing down Drake. She's not going to need a lot of help for that. Just stand there and beat the snot out of the thing over and over again, and you're going to get that Drake as long as your team's not getting smashed. Speaking of getting smashed, up here in the top lane, it's Finn just whooping on Fake God as he's down to about 300 HP, but now with the ulti, he's not so afraid.
Yeah, he just backs away there. Pretty large wave, and doesn't actually fully know where the enemy jungler is. But yeah, the trade's working out well for Mr. Kench. He's pretty far behind.
Yeah, his farm is real bad. Let's see if he checks this brush here. Fake God Call the Meek, and now just gets himself on back. And hey, here it is, Raz, you called it out. Even if there's no kill to be had, a Drake is on the menu. They've got the Callista there for the extra secure power. Acadian's still putting the hits in onto the Drake. The Rend will be very powerful. Even combined with that unupgraded Smite, they're not all the way through the jungle knives yet, so those Smites have not evolved.
Yeah.
It still won't matter. Dignitas first dragon.
Yeah, bot lane's strong, and they were slow stacking the wave. And usually if a fight were to start, you would expect it to be started on top of Acadian, right? Broxa and Diamante would be trying to look for a pick on him. Oh, looking for a play here.
Afromu's going in. Both junglers are ready to go, but Acadian's already got level 6. Brox has pulled to safety here with a lantern. Diamante's able to arrive into the fight, throws out the gold guard, but now he's got to flash away too. A good hook underneath the turret forces Yasui to flash away defensively. And despite multiple rotations from multiple people with multiple summoner spells, there are no kills.
Great call from CLG to immediately back away there. They were trying to look for the play. Acadian gets the drop on Broxa. Perfect lantern from Smoothie gets him out of harm's way. And of course the hook stopped them from the dive, because that certainly would have been a dive from Dignitas. They had the manpower there, and of course had the HP to back him up, but you know, Aframu took a tower shot, and also Yasui had to flash away. So overall, good defensive play from CLG.
Yeah, there was some wild stuff going on down there in that, but CLG is happy to be hanging on, not losing anybody from that one. Of course, that is your first Twisted Fate ulti used defensively. Yes, it was a successful defense, but so often you want to see those Twisted Fate ults used aggressively. You want to be the playmaker, right?
Yeah.
And for CLG, now they're going to have to wait that cooldown to have that opportunity again.
Yeah, and they're just kind of slow bleeding on the map because of what happened earlier. Acadian's ahead in the jungle matchup. Same's going towards bot lane. Neo and Aframu are feeling pretty confident there, even though they're a little bit behind NCS. I mean, they're happy because this laning phase should have went in Smoothie and Wild Turtle's direction. And then Finn, I mean, yeah, this matchup is not working well. It should have been, but you know, we haven't been seeing how that lane's been going necessarily. So it's actually a pretty good situation here for Fake God.
Yeah.
So all in all, this is Dignitas coming in with a pretty large advantage.
And Fake God has about a 2-wave, and I say that with quotation marks, lead, because there's about an extra wave worth of minions here that you can see Finn will be able to farm up, just freezing that right outside of the turret range, so he'll make up for some of that difference.
Yeah.
But Broxa will now head back into his own jungle. Is level 6 now on the Viego, so he won't have quite as much of a one-sided loss to Acadian if he runs into him in those jungle 1v1s again. But down here in bottom lane, it's the same old song and dance. Turtle and Smoothie stuck underneath the turret, farming up. But hey, the farm is looking good.
And it seems like this Rift Herald is perfectly set up here if they want to do it for Dignitas, because the control wards are perfectly there, setting up for Renekton, so he can always dip in a fog. Same on the top side of mid lane for Sylas. So right now, Dignitas should take an extra wave bot lane. But no farms in the jungle for the Diana. So if she wants to go back top lane and get the respawning camps, she can do that. But in the end of the day, I think everything is in favor of Dignitas getting first Rift Herald.
Okay, Diamante with the teleport back into mid lane now. So another summoner spell on cooldown there for him. He will have his ulti ready to go here. As you can see, Acadian wants to make the move here in the bottom lane. Smoothie's going to be your target. Dignitas now back and right, back away. Afromu will be the first one killed, but the fight is not over. Acadian's down to 100 HP, and he'll evaporate next. CLG with a beautiful turnaround, a double kill over to Diamante, and a 3-4-0 against Dignitas.
All of that was envisioned there from CLG. They saw when Sylas was moving away from the lane. They also saw essentially Neo and Aframu ducking from bot lane through the river. That play felt like it was very clear. In fact, Smoothie, oh, nice trade here for Finn. But Smoothie, it was looking like he baited for it. Walked into the little bit of a bush and then walked out to see if he can get Diana coming out so he can actually start to fight there. So really rough call there from Dignitas. I really would have wanted them to get the wave pushed out bot lane and go for Rift Herald instead. They had all of the pressure in the world and vision there if you look at the fog. But yeah, we saw Dignitas essentially setting up for this a long time in advance. Great ward catching Acadian out, going into the bush. So it was all in vision. He was trying to bait out the fight, gets it perfectly. Diamante comes in, and it was just a great kill on towards Aframu.
And as soon as they tried to back away, CLG had the reinforcements. Dig is thinking, all right, our mid laner's coming down, we'll be able to fight this, but it just wasn't there, man. CLG was prepared, they had the knowledge, they had the ability to execute on it, and now they're the ones with 1,000 gold.
There it is. That's going to help them a lot. I still think that Dignitas are going to feel confident playing for this Rift Herald, but it's all going to be in vision now. So CLG has a pretty damn good opening of being able to respond to it.
Now, Wild Turtle and Smoothie up here. Turtle always has to be so careful this game.
Yeah.
He needs Smoothie at his side pretty much nonstop.
Yeah. So, you know, waiting for the push top side and then now clearing out the wards here. Really nice. If he does walk to lane alone, that's the opening for Dignitas to strike.
And you can see they're not actually bothering to clear out that last ward in the back of the pit there. They're thinking it's too risky.
Yep.
Dignitas could be nearby. We know that they are. And so they don't want to allow themselves to be punishable in any situation like that. Acadian has Afromu and Neo right behind him. So both bot lanes have switched up into this top side now with those top laners just farming up in the bot side 1v1.
The result of all of that playing, that fighting that happened bot lane, is that 2 kills towards Damonte, a 1-level advantage, and of course being able to finish Everfrost. He is so far ahead of Yusui. So if CLG want to fight this, they will need Twisted Fate. It's coming in. It looks like this is the fight that they want to take.
Okay, lots of spears in that Rift Herald. CLG going in now. Afromu wants to engage on a Damonte. This could be a very big pick. He's got the stopwatch to buy himself a moment. He flashes onto the lantern and he's pulled to safety. And it buys enough time for Broxah to take the Herald. But now Acadian has found the enemy mid laner despite the chain stuns going out. Damonte has no summoner spells and no escape route. Shut down by Acadian.
Man, they went and turned on Damonte, but that CLG picking up Rift Herald now. I wonder how effective that's going to be. They can still get one opportunity to use it with plates up, but if they hold on to it with no plates, then that's nice from Dig.
Okay, CLG, what are we going to do here in the top lane? Brox has got that Herald. Looks like they're just going to drop it immediately here for the gold. They're saying we don't want to wait on this. We're not going to see if we can get something better. There's only 1 minute left on the plates. Cash in now.
That would just be a lot of pressure for them, because if they had to push this wave out, base, come back onto the map, then look towards bot lane, get the vision down first, that's too long of a setup.
Yeah,
there's
no way you get that done in 60 seconds.
Exactly. So good call to use it immediately. But yeah, overall, they're sticking around. Seeing to see if they can find a pick onto the Callista.
Yeah, you just shoot Callista with the Q right before the minions get in the way, just to make sure you waste a little bit more of his time. And then Turtle with the Chakrams can get the wave all shoved up. Remember that Aphelios, of course, also has that unique mechanic that no other marksman has, where the closer you stand to something when you're using the Chakrams, the higher attack speed you have, because it actually matters how long it takes to bounce back to you. So he'll clear that out as fast as possible, and now Neo finally gets to back. So waiting for the interruption there actually gives CLG's marksman the tempo in terms of getting back out on the map faster.
Yeah, and also Smoothie got the, got back from map a little bit quicker too. He's actually kind of stalled himself just so he can get Lantern down for Wild Turtle. It looks like they want to be able to pick bot lane up first. So if CLG wants to play for this dragon, they're going to have to play through bot lane. Meanwhile, Dignitas are already in position, and they're going to play through mid. So a little bit better of a position for Dignitas. I think this is just their dragon.
Yeah, Dignitas is already here. CLG, you can see Brox is not bothering to walk over to the pit. He's just clearing through his camps. That lets me know that this is not going to be a contest from CLG. So there you go, 2-0 Drake lead here for the side of Dignitas. I'm sure CLG would have much rather seen that cloud thing pop up, that notification that says that's the soul, but Dig, happy to have Infernal be what they're fighting for.
Yeah, they have a clear win con, even though they're just a little bit behind. And also because of CLG, their intent being to play around Dragon, CLG didn't really lose anything for all of this. You know, Fake God's still able to get the top lane wave, though, trading a little bit of his life for it. Here's the play here now.
Okay, nice death sentence onto Afromu. Flays him too. Afromu could be in a little bit of trouble, but now it's Dignitas looking to turn it around. TP's coming in from both sides. Damonte has joined the fight, but now he's in a really bad spot. Will manage to get himself away. Fake God with the Dominus will be the next likely target. They try to re-engage yet again. A lot of damage onto Broxah, but he's able to escape. Fake God's going to be the next one in trouble, but he's devoured and saved with a stolen Tom Kench ulti.
That was a lot, but that was just a perfect exhaust coming through from Smoothie on Callista, because the re-engage was there from Dignitas. They just couldn't get any kills off of it.
And Dignitas this time looked like they might have been the ones turning the tables like what we saw from CLG previously. But
yeah.
CLG not extending too far, not punished, so no kills here yet again.
Yeah, and they're losing this entire wave. Wild Turtle sticking around a little longer here. And this is now like 2 successful plays where it feels like Wild Turtle is creeping more and more ahead in his specific matchup. And he's going towards Shield Bow now, so the dive threat that's there from Diana, you know, Silas, Renekton, it's going to be even harder now that he picks up that Mythic.
Okay, what is CLG going to do here? Anything else? Doesn't look like it. No, Dignitas does get back down in time here to defend that turret. CLG putting a lot of pressure on, though. Remember, that first turret bonus is still available.
Yeah.
Neither side has claimed a single one yet. Back here in mid lane, DeMonte. You already mentioned him having the Everfrost done, and maybe it's because I only play Skarner that I think this, but man, TF with Everfrost is one of the most BS things in League of Legends.
Yeah, it sucks.
Point and click stun with followed up guaranteed root. The amount of CC and pressure he's able to apply if someone is just slightly out of position will guarantee awesome setup for a pick. Speaking of which, Neo is now the target. Smoothie starts it off. DeMonte's here to follow it up. There's your gold card. No Everfrost required. Wild Turtle gets paid.
That one opportunity, they found it. Playmaking there from CLG, and to your point, right, like, CLG's composition, very direct. If you get a gold card, Everfrost after, that's more than enough time for Smoothie to also follow up with the hook himself. Like, that one target that they pinpoint is going to die, so in this case, they didn't need to use many of that to get the kill on towards Neo, but Dignitas still able to get the mid lane turret after all of that.
And that's one of those things, too, that goes back to what I pointed out at level 1. No 80 carries with cleanse means once Neo gets hit by anything, it's a problem.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense that the Kalista won't have it, but that also just means that you need to be really safe. You know, not a lot of people get the opportunity to practice versus a Twisted Fate.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and add Wild Turtle to the endangered species list. It will be his first death of the game, but Dignitas will not be merciful.
Yeah, that's just pure greed. We saw him bot lane when they were trading mid lane turret for it, but I guess he just stayed bot lane. So, yep, you're gonna die for that one, but you're still getting something across the board. In fact, feeling a little better here for CLG. Got top lane turret. Don't think they're going to be able to get this one, actually.
A lot of damage coming out here from DeMonte. Neo is making his way back here. DeMonte just needs a couple more autos. All right, there it is. All 3 outer turrets down now. CLG taking the objectives from Dignitas.
Yeah, it doesn't feel too bad, actually. I think it's much better here for CLG. Sure, you don't want to lose your 80 carry for it, but now he's ultra ready for the next fight, has shield bow. That first turret you're talking about, he's able to get it, I mean. So, I mean, overall, better here for CLG. They're the ones taking the first objectives.
And I think the map state's very interesting right now because we have our second Rift Herald alive. It's only on the map for another 60 seconds. At the same time, 45 seconds until the third Drake spawns. The first 2 already being secured by Dig means CLG has to be very respectful of that.
Yeah. And I think right now, Dignitas recognizing that the gold advantage is swaying a little bit more towards CLG. Oh, no.
Okay, Yasui has found DeMonte. He's trying to get himself away here. Needs the gold card, finds it. Yasui will not get enough extra damage, and now he's the one who's got to get out of town. Uses his flash to escape Broxa. DeMonte gets into position, and there it is, the Messiah, ready to go with the stasis, and Broxa gets the kill.
There we go. I mean, tacticals out there, that you found yourself the Messiah, right? Strategically, fantastic. Yasui tried to get the execution there, knowing that he would come out of the stasis, but in that case, I mean, that just gave Broxa the time to come over. So, really well done there from Broxa, mirroring DeMonte in that moment, because otherwise he would have died.
Okay, so we've got enemy mid laner down. CLG, this is your chance to try to stop the Drake stack from Dignitas. Don't allow them to secure that soul point, to have that threat for the remainder of the game. It is a 5v4 here for the next 5 seconds, but Yasui has a teleport, so that number advantage will not remain.
Yeah, and so that's CLG holding firm towards topside. There's the teleport. Dignitas are going to be feeling pretty comfortable. The team fight, but remember, this is Team Tom Kench now joining the fight with Anathemas. He's going to be a huge force to this team.
Okay, Infernal Drake already targeted. Dignitas going in, looking for this. Fake God with the zoning power of the Dominus, and Drake is secured by Dig. They are now 3-0 in the Drake count. CLG seeing if there's any opportunity to punish this anywhere, but Dig do not want to give them that chance. Tom Kench going in, jumps over the wall. He's in there, 1v4. Flashes back over, but it's Acadian ready to go with a punish. Finn does not get the thick skin cast. CLG, what the hell was that?
I saw shades of Olive last week on that one. Pops his head to 3 people, instantly flashes out and put his team in a bad position. The worst thing about that, picture perfect example of CLG not being on the same page. 2 of the carries
They
going
are reading
straight.
the same book.
That's true.
What?
You got 2 members going mid lane to get that wave cleared out. The rest of them are like, it's fighting time.
That, oh man, these are the mistakes that can lose you games. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or anything, but these things can lose you so much tempo. Let's take another look at the fight. Dig secured the Drake, and you know CLG wanted to find something at the end, knowing that Renekton ulti's already gone.
Yeah, and so of course Wild Turtle trying to find a pick. Thresh is not in the area, but take a look at just like 2 of the members, Twisted Fate and Aphelios. Literally both of your carries are mid lane. So you cannot be tunneling on this fight when, I'm not sure if they're calling it, but you certainly have the same minimap we all do.
And there you go. Double kill over to the 80 carry. Neo picking up both of them. Great for Dignitas as well, making sure that Kalista is able to stay on par for the game. Dignitas still down about 2,000 gold compared to CLG, despite being gifted those 2 kills. But they do have this Drake advantage, and that is so much, Raz, because if they can secure that 4th Drake, Infernal, a soul adds about 5,000 gold's worth of value.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's about the passive effect of it is worth like 1,000 gold on each player. So that's a huge thing that'll be going their way here in 3 minutes unless CLG can figure out a way to stop it. Second Rift Herald summoned up here. It's in the top lane. It will not be able to get enough damage to kill the turret, but it takes it very light.
And magic penetration is being completed here. I mean, Acadian is getting so much stronger, and I think he's the real team fight force here for Dignitas and how these fights have been starting. I mean,
Yeah.
he blew up Tom Kench. So for me, yes, that soul is ultra important for CLG to deny, but that gets a large strategic advantage for Dignitas because they can, if they want to, and I feel like they should, give it away. Put your full control topside towards Baron if you feel comfortable, because you have Kalista within your comp, so you can do that.
Yeah.
It just depends if you feel much better at team fighting than CLG at this moment, and that's the risk.
And I want to point out, too, what you were talking about before the Drake fight. You said, you know, Tom Kench strolling down here, he's got Anathema's chains. That's scary. It's scary if you're the guy that's tagged with the chains.
Yeah.
If you're jumping into the middle of 5 dudes, chains goes on 1 dude.
Yep.
Now, I am not a mathematician, nor a scholar, nor a scientist, sir, but I know that 5 minus 1 means 4 dudes that can still beat the snot out of you.
Yeah, the steel pipe for the rest of the team is going to still hurt the same amount that it did last time.
Oh, no. All right. Well, hopefully that's not going to happen no more for Finn, but right now he's getting jumped on. Fake God and Yasui going in. Stealing away the Devour. Ready to go and use that one to try to execute him here. Needs a little bit more. Gobbles him up. Spits him out. That didn't even taste good. Yasui picking up number 2.
Just straight blows him up. I haven't seen a Silas Tom Kench ulti in ever. I have just not seen it. That looked like it hurt.
Yeah, that was not an ideal situation. The last time he got stuck in a Diana ulti knockup before he could fix skin. This time he's in the belly of his opponent when that would be the play. So Finn now dead again. 0-2-0 here on the Tom Kench this game. And Dignitas have brought the gold back down to a 500 difference.
And that's the fear here for CLG, is because they're the team that should feel a little more comfortable playing around Turtle. But game's getting further and further away from them. The advantage is being thrown towards Yasui and Acadian. Nice save there from Smoothie, but you know, now you're losing mid control. Dragon's coming up in 40 seconds.
And Turtle is very powerful right now. I remember Freak mentioning something earlier, I believe it was last week, about how the ideal Aphelios build these days, you're putting stats into lethality second, you're building a collector second. It's much more bursty compared to sustained DPS of the traditional build. But Turtle has that, right? He's at collector.
Yeah.
If he has the right guns and he's not targeted, he can carry a team fight. But those are a lot of ifs that Dignitas will be happy to try to deny.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard for him to even walk up to Dignitas' comps to even get that damage down. He has purple gun, blue gun. Blue gun's gonna feel nice.
Okay, Neo with the flash away. Aframu may now be the target. Demonte's in a bad spot. Fake got exhausted, but he's in the middle of everybody. Yasui coming around from the side. Demonte having to run away as we got another fight here in the top side of the river as Wild Turtle's having to flash out, be pulled to safety. He's ignited, but he ain't dead yet. Takes a couple bites of the honey fruit with Finn now being the next target. Dignitas are grabbing themselves the first kill. Is there more on the menu? It does not quite look like it, but with the teleport from Demonte going into the top lane, a question mark ping from Dig, and a hook from downtown onto Smoothie, surely this fight is doomed for CLG. Brox is looking to turn it right back around, and he is the hero of the day. Broxa gets a kill in return, but now he's got to get away. Fake God tries to go in, but a nice use of the passive is able to keep Viego alive. Turtle will be the next one to die. Broxa's out of the picture, and with Demonte top side, Dignitas will take that fight and earn themselves that Infernal Soul.
He was trying his damn hardest while Turtle was life-stealing back up, and Broxa was doing his best there, keeping topped up, really battling to keep CLG still in it. But man, that was just an easy soul take from Dignitas. They just had more members on the map at that moment here.
And again, it felt like the whole team just wasn't on the same page.
Yep.
Same book, same class, same subject, same school. Demonte's going up into the top lane, while now the rest of the team's still in a spot where they're going to get engaged on and have to fight. Where's the coordination?
It's real. This game is the worst in some time for CLG in terms of that level of coordination. And we're in the final week. There's no excuse at this point. This is the type of thing you're working throughout the entire, 9 weeks of getting here.
Okay, here's our Roccat flip the switch. Let's see how the fight played out again with CLG trying to make a play.
So they have eyes on Yusui coming into the flank, and Aphelios, even though this is a play started from CLG, needs that full protection. The Lantern being placed there, healed just so he gets that little bit of movement speed and can keep topped up. He cannot join this fight anymore. So then you look towards Twisted Fate. He bases, he can come there on time, but he thinks it's probably over. But the rest of CLG are still positioned for a fight. So, you know, he's already TP top lane. And yeah, to your point, not on the same page for CLG.
And it looked like there might have been a chance here for a moment, right? With Broxa turning things back around. You can see he still has the Nautilus Spectre there that he can steal to avoid the re-engage from Fake God. But then it's not enough. Then Dignitas are ready to go. Yusui getting stunned up. Yusui getting chain CC'd. Yusui with the stasis able to stay alive. And now Dignitas has arrived. Afromuza way too far ahead of the rest of the team there. Broxa gets a punish, and CLG will look for more. Demonte's ulti's been used. Very nice death sentence onto Neo, but he's got the QSS to get himself away. Fake God's here on the front line with the Dominus. He'll be the one soaking up all the damage right now. Dig's ready to go back in, and Acadian is ready to pop him and drop him. He grabs and engage onto two. Brox is on the front line, but he will not be able to do much. Finn gets away, using the W to safety, but will it be safety enough? He's still trying to waddle his big catfish butt on out of there, but Yusui is ready to chase him down. He goes for the stun, but the jump back over the wall as Acadian is ready to go after him yet again. He stays out of the way of the blast cone so he doesn't get thrown over the wall. He'll continue chasing the Tomcat, who goes into the ground yet again, but there's another guy waiting. They're always positioning people in the right spot. Run, Tomcat! Run!
I think he's out!
Don't look back! Don't listen to the screams!
No!
He gets stunned up before he can get away, but a nice heal from the Q. What in the hell? How is he still alive? Somebody kill him! There's your hook. That's how you catch a catfish.
That took a century.
That took way too long.
That man.
What the hell did we just watch for?
That was an Olympic marathon on Twitch.tv.
Somebody put the yakety sax behind that. Make the highlight clip. Farm your free upvotes somewhere. Like that's.
Someone sent a letter to
goodness.
the Olympic Committee and promised that that wasn't their footage.
Oh, Afromoo getting caught out now. He is just destroyed before anything can be said or done about it. Wild Turtle's at about 1/3 HP, so they got to be careful about the counterattack coming in here from Dignitas, but they aren't in position to punish in time.
God, I have no idea what happened before that play because it was just, I mean, like, seriously. Yeah, I mean, CLG are in a pretty tough spot. And right now, if you're Dignitas, it seems like it is going to be an Elder game. You can just pull him into a final fight. Don't turn it into a 50-50 on Elder. You already have a good enough amount of vision that you're going to be placing when you come back onto the map towards red side jungle. And then you have Diana. Acadian's been having a stellar game. The Callista ultimate that's been tearing CLG apart. And there's no way for Wild Turtle to really get them off him. At least for this next fight, he will have flash ready. So it's just an off cooldown now. So, you know, if he can stay alive a little longer, they have a chance.
So we've got 9 summoner spells up on the side of CLG. The only one missing is the flash from Finn. Over on the side of Dignitas, we've also got 9, but the one missing being that flash from Acadian. Oh, I am wrong just a second. Fake God is still down his flash for a moment, but it'll be up in just a few seconds. So the next time a fight breaks out, pretty much everything's ready to go, Raz.
Yeah, it's going to be there for Elder. That's what matters here. As for Finn, he's going to have a problem. No flash ready. It's already a pretty easy target to hit that Tahm Kench.
Yep.
So for Dignitas, it's going to be pretty easy. And he can't use his shield too early simply because there's a Renekton on the field that can just slice it, just W your entire shield. So that's going to be a problem for him as the game goes on.
Yeah, Finn currently sitting at 2 completed items, not exceptionally tanky against what Dignitas is capable of bringing to the table. You can see Yasui up there in the top lane. He has the teleport, so he knows he can apply pressure elsewhere on the map and still be relevant in a Drake fight. Dignitas will push out the mid wave. They will rotate down into the bottom side river, and they will have priority over the Elder Dragon pit. Damonte using the ulti. CLG looking for the chance to go in.
Yeah.
TP coming out from Yasui. Dignitas is ready to fight back. A little bit of damage onto Acadian, but not a lot.
I think that was their best opportunity, knowing that Yasui was in the top lane, that they could find, you know, at least a little bit of poke damage on towards Acadian, but he's in a good spot now. And remember, they're trying to find a fight.
Okay, Finn's gonna get grabbed. There's your first target. Fake Gods on the front lines, exactly where he needs to be. Yasui coming around on the flank. They're looking to go after Smoothie. They got a lot of damage down on the enemy jungler, and Broxah will be the first to die. Yasui is on a rampage, and Dignitas is on the warpath. Finn gets away ever so barely as Yasui flashes over the wall and gets a double kill. Damonte heads for the hills, but the hills have eyes. He's trying to get away, and Yasui misses the stun that might just let him do it. The chase continues. CLG is aced. Dig never lost a thing, and the game is done.
Yep, I mean, Tahm Kench was trying to hold the mid lane wave, but he knew that they're both side lanes, bot lane and top lane, were still available for Dignitas to finish this game. Huge team fight play. Yasui was king in that fight.
That is how Dig get it done, and with this victory over CLG, Dignitas will earn themselves a place in the playoff upper bracket.
There it is. You have 2 lives now if you're Dignitas. They're getting slowly and slowly back into form from what we saw in Spring Split. And a lot of it is on the back of Aframu, Acadian. They've been consistent performers. I feel like Yasui has gotten there. He's had a little bit of time with the team now where it feels like he can play making picks like the Silas, and it's working out.
Yeah, I'm loving seeing what Acadian's able to bring to the table in terms of the jungle, getting down there in the bottom lane nice and early.
Yeah.
You talked about how, hey, Brox is set up for the crab. Who cares about the crab if you just grab first blood, right? Dignitas playing well around that, and I have to levy criticism of the heaviest caliber on CLG for some of the mistakes that we saw this game, the unforced errors, the lack of coordination, the absence of communication. I don't have any other words that I can form for CLG.
Those errors are massive. And a lot of it you can attribute to, like, you know, end of week. You feel like you're down and out kind of nerves, right? Like, you feel like, oh, we're chasing them. We could find that one play. But these are the same things we've seen like all split long. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the tough pill to swallow, is that we've seen this type of CLG. We just need to see something that if they're on the warpath for a fight, we don't need to, like, 2 carries going mid lane and your main tank surging into a fight. It's a bad look.
Well, for CLG fans out there, remember, they are not eliminated from playoffs yet. It is not in their control. It will depend on the results from the games, both themselves and FlyQuest and Golden Guardians, but it is still possible for them to make it. For Dignitas fans, I'm sure y'all are ecstatic to know that the boys have that second life into playoffs locked and loaded now. We're tossing to another break, but afterwards, we will wrap up our day with the State Farm Analyst Desk, and as we go, let's tune in to a preview of my man Kobe, looking to make Aphelios top work with the help of Spawn, Danny, and other brave souls on this week's episode of Masterminds. Check it out.
Godspeed.
Hey, what up, buddy? Bond's back. What up, hi? Welcome, welcome. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on one of the most controversial champions we have ever had in League of Legends? Aphelios. The champion that spawned a meme, everlasting 300 years of balance.
You know, sometimes he one-shots you, and I don't feel like an AD carry should be able to do that, you know?
Our challenge for today is to take Aphelios from the bottom lane up to the top lane, solo carry. Fudge has been tweeting about it. LS has been onto it. We're gonna actually take it into game, make it work in ranked queue, and let's see the results.
I hope we have a good top lane.
Hey man, let me ask you a question, man. See if you know what's up. Big this. Who fuses the music with no illusions, producing the blueprints? Clueless automator, defy the laws of nature. Electronic monolith, throw a gem upon a disc. The futuristic loop it with a quickness. Hyper-producing hydrogen fusion liquids. Keep your distance. Who's that the mastermind? Who's that the mastermind? Who's that the mastermind? Who's that the mastermind?
Welcome back to the LCS. We are here on the opposite side of Mark's face. Just trying to get
They
off.
found me. I was trying to
free.
hide behind this clear desk, and they
I was trying to figure out what angle it was at to even
Yeah,
get that. That was
same.
really impressive. Yeah.
I always know where the camera is.
All right, everybody. You knew this if you were here before the break. It's a
guy.
Dignitas victory. It's a Mark victory. I guess it's all our
It's a
victory.
TF loss. which
But
is
it's a
sad.
loss
But I'm glad
for
they went
humanity.
for it.
It's a loss for
I
humanity.
call the dub. Let's go, Dignitas. I liked it. I mean, a lot of the counter picks that we're kind of talking about, Sylas into TF is one of those big counter picks. It's a relatively free lane. You get to become a monster in the side lanes. You get to follow them around the map in the early game, neutralizing a lot of what TF wants to do. It was still a pretty scrappy game, but I do have to give credit to the bot lane of Dignitas, despite playing to Thresh Aphelios, actually getting advantages on their own, mostly in the 2v2.
It did feel like at moments, though, Emily, the TF, DeMonte was trying to make work with it, but just got shut down.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing was what happened in the bot lane, to Mark's point, but then also, like, we did see Damonte playing around this TF really well. It's obviously something that he is really comfortable with, and additionally, I actually didn't think Yusui was able to match him at most parts. I felt like he had like the first rotation a lot of times. But then the issue came when, you know, we're setting up around objectives. We let Dig get ahead in terms of dragon stacking. We took not only, or as CLG, we took not only bad team fights, but then additionally weren't able to trade a lot of the time when it came to like taking down turrets. I mean, first turrets in this game didn't go down until like 17 minutes, and that was actually a really nice run of play that followed. I mean, I'm not saying don't take turrets until 17 minutes, that's not great, but CLG did have a really nice run of play around there where they were playing the map well and they were getting down those initial outer turrets, and then it kind of fell apart once the map was more open, which isn't what you want to see with a TF pick, because that's where TF should really be able to thrive.
Yeah, if we kind of reflect upon that game as a whole, Dignitas getting the win, still being in that top 6, CLG still technically in the fighting for playoff contention. What faith do you have, Kaizen, in either of these teams to perform in the way that they need to in the future?
I gotta be honest, I expected nothing and I was still disappointed. Right? Like,
no.
I feel like, okay, so first let's talk about the draft. We were talking about the draft, you know, when the game was starting, and I don't think this was a bad draft in general for CLG, but when I look at what the team needs to do, which is, I think, have simplicity and cover the lack of fundamentals, I'm really disappointed to see them give Kalista away. This is a pick that Neil has been super dominant on, and I think it's a pick that Turtle has looked his best on and gives them the clear engage that they need. But beyond that, like, there's just so many moments in this game where I'm like, there's just stray members doing things just off by themselves, and yeah, I'm just really disappointed, you know? So faith in, I guess I have to have faith in just everyone else throwing, right? For CLG to now advance at this point. So I'm a little sad, but hey, at least it's still possible. And I felt good at least about what Damonte was doing, because it showed me that, hey, they have some strengths here to work around. They just need to shore up literally everything else. So.
You're smiling through the pain a little bit,
Yeah,
there, Kaizen.
yeah, trying.
Yeah, so some sad vibes over on this side, but there are some happy fan bases out there. If we're looking at TSM, for instance, and the victory that they had today, they do now hold that sole possession of first place. I mean, they're followed by 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, who are in a tie in fourth between Cloud9 and Team Liquid, actually are the ones tied up there.
Yeah, and I think if you are to have a big takeaway about the top teams today, I think you should be really excited about both TSM and EG. I think both of these teams have shown us different looks from the ways we typically associate them winning. TSM with drafting Cassiopeia, something that's a little bit more lane pressure oriented, and EG drafting TF and being forced down into their pool, but still managing to pull it off. So these are two teams that I'm excited to see in a best of 5 now.
I'm gonna go Team Liquid when you talk about teams you're excited about now. I mean, it was Immortals, it wasn't one of the top teams with your bet, but the way they won was so dominant, so convincing. This is exactly what we were talking about with like the wanting to blow the game open after monster early game leads. Like that was a clinic that they ran.
And also you could see the difference in a lot of times where Santorin was pathing. Like I really appreciated that he pad down bot side, because a lane like the Blitzcrank Draven is going to want to kill you, right? And the way they kill you is if you're constantly shoving these waves in, they'll be able to jump on you. And even though he was on a ward in that tribush the entire time, that basically forced Immortals to have to back off from being able to, make the most of any sort of kill pressure they had. He then pathed top side to affect the top lane. So I think you already started to see that, Santorin does have a really good understanding of what his lanes need, and that is something that TL has kind of been missing lately, and they had a really nice early game punch to them today. That's a lot different than sitting back and laning well.
Or just Alfari's winning by himself, great.
Yeah.
We find ourselves in a very interesting position because Team Liquid and Cloud9 being tied up there in the 4th spot. These are our finalists from spring, and it feels like there's just a different expectation or feeling around these two different teams and their preparation level going into playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Team Liquid, it's understandable given that, they've gone through so much change. I mean, only now are they getting the roster that everyone expected them to have in week 1. And we have to remember that they had a coaching shakeup. With C9, it's a little harder to diagnose what's going on. They did have some tumult in the beginning of the split as well, with Sven not being in and having King and then having swap out. But it's been a while since then. And they still don't look like they're online. Their mid games don't look nearly as clean as they used to. Their individual members are not all firing on cylinders at the same time. So it's hard to anticipate what kind of Cloud9 we can expect throughout the rest of this weekend, because they've just been so all over the map.
Yeah, very limited opportunity to do so as well. If we're looking at the matches that we have going on tomorrow, we're kicking it off with Golden Guardians taking on second place in 100 Thieves. Both of the teams are so eager to rack up those wins for the all-important playoff stakes. I'm really looking towards some of the other matches we got going on. Team Liquid and EG, mighty spicy.
That bet's still going on, right?
That bet's still on.
All right, game 2. I'm looking out for it.
I don't know who Team Liquid's facing for game 3, but I think
it's C9.
Oh, okay.
I think. I could be wrong. I don't really know.
I don't know if beating C9 counts. It counts. It counts. Nope. Okay. Jumping ahead, but anyway, I think this is a really exciting opportunity for Team Liquid to show that they are at full strength. If we think about them beating teams above them, like Santorin was noting, this is the kind of team that you want to beat to instill a lot of confidence going into playoffs. So here, these are two teams with both really, really potent early games. So I think a lot of this is going to be on the EG side, figuring out how to neutralize Alfari. I don't expect to see him on a pick like Malphite, not versus a team of this caliber. And on the TL side, it'll be about playing to their win condition, which is usually top.
The other kind of playoff race that I actually want to look out for, in addition to who's going to end up making it, is that race for getting in top 6, because Immortals had a really big setback today with their loss, and Dig are now in a more comfortable position for that 6th place spot. As far as I know, that's still not locked in. Hopefully producers will correct me if I just made a mistake. But that's something that I'm really looking out for those teams, because double elimination actually means a lot, especially if you are a lower tier team and not contending for that exact top position, because it gives you more time to maybe possibly ramp up after a loss.
It also feels like between those two teams, Dignitas and Immortals, depending on what point in the split you look at them, either of them have had a point where, yeah, that looks like the top 16. Maybe it's Immortals. Wait, maybe it's Dignitas at this point based on that recent game performance. And it is interesting to see who can come up with that consistency in the final moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Mark who talked about the 2 or the 8, from the Immortals bot lane.
They rolled an 8 today, or 2.
That was a 2. That was a 2 at best today. So
I might have lost the dice when rolling on that. It went off the table, and you're like, just give me the lowest roll.
Yeah, the hyper low roll there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on what kind of Immortals are we going to see. I don't expect them to have a bot lane catastrophe like they had today. Whereas Dignitas, I think, has been a little bit more consistent overall. I think, it's just they consistently have the same issues, generally speaking. But overall, I feel like Dignitas has gotten a little bit better at understanding what their strengths are as a team.
I was wrong in their confirmed 6, Digar.
I was going to say, but I didn't want to get it wrong.
I didn't know what the head-to-head was, so never mind. Ignore everything I said.
All right, well, we'll eventually find out how they actually do in the best of 5s and with that extra life for themselves. But that's going to do it for us here on the broadcast. On behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS. Until then, everyone, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.